And we are going to be coming on in this TVZ, one of the more anticipated matches in today's bracket. Let's see how that goes. And speaking of how that goes, here we are in the top. Gonna be spawning in onto Similac Rum. Yar Har Fidelity LE by the C 2 for 3 with me, buddy. Porque? Because if you are, you're gonna have to slap your knee and throw away your keys and in order to get ready for this best of 3. We are gonna be spawning in on the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning in on the top left-hand corner of the map. We have a blue Terran all the way from the land of Mexico. He is going to be representing Alpha X. We have Senor.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Simulacrum LE, as we do have a little bit of banter. Sinner talking about how dirty the Zerglord was playing, and JimRising's like, mate, have you seen my stream? We have the Mexican Zerg player representing Timber Esports. It is JimRising.
Every time you zoom in on that clan decal, man, it's great. It's one of the better ones. I feel like the only thing that would be better if is that Bonobo wears was wearing a chicken suit.
We gotta send that to Jim so he can update it. But we'll yeah, and we'll see how this goes, because to be honest, the Zerglord, I do rate him pretty highly as one of the better Zerg players in the region. He's up there alongside Eggs, I would say, and Dark Unnamed. So JimRising himself, he was even saying, like, the Zerglord, he's pretty good, like, compared to me. Like, he wasn't rating himself too highly. We'll see if he was just being modest, or how he fares against Sinner here.
That we definitely will. JimRising is kind of similar to Zerglord in terms of he likes to play pretty dirty. But again, when I think of JimRising, I think of very aggressive sort of link play.
Yeah.
But whereas when I think of Zerglord, I think more of someone who likes to play a bit more. I wouldn't say macro, but what I mean by that is he likes to go into lair.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what JimRising has in store for us. We'll see if we see like a Ling Bane bust or something along those lines. He is more prone to do things like drop lords as well, to drop Banelings in mineral lines, things along those lines. So we'll see what he decides to do. As so far we do have pretty standard openers. We do have a 1-1-1 coming out from Sinner, a pretty fast third base as well.
By the way, shout out once again to Turbo Quacker providing us those translations. They are basically calling each other swine, which I feel is very Spanish/Latin American. Although when I think of swine, I'm like, yes, that sounds like Spain Spanish. You dirty swine.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, these guys, like, they know each other. They're just like trolling each other, basically, especially with that face.
XD. Exodia. That is JimRising's facial expression, though.
I like how you that just buckles you. You're like, mate, that monkey. That's great.
Because that monkey, basically, that's the same facial expression. I can imagine JimRising just cracking that smile.
Definitely.
After a win or a loss, like, hey.
Definitely. As
the Banshee's coming out here from center.
yeah, ooh. And he's actually banking them up. He's waiting for his second Banshee, it looks like, or he could just be waiting for Cloak to finish up as well. And as you pointed out, we do have bioplay this time, as opposed to the mech style that we saw against the Zerglord.
Indeed, we do. I feel like Sinner, he does like to switch up quite a bit. He is pretty versatile in that regard. We'll see if Cloak is done. We'll see if Hyperfrelite Rotors is going to be a follow-up here or not, coming out from Sitter. Well, could be. I'm liking what we're seeing here. These 6 Hellion Reapers, they are fighting for map control with these Zerglings. The Reaper will just about be taken out. Pretty unfortunate. Those KD8 charges are definitely one of the more valuable forms of poking in a TVZ.
Yeah, definitely.
Very quick Spire coming up from JimRising.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, especially because he did go in, he did scout the opener, he did see all the production buildings, so he does know about the Banshees that are coming his way. I say that, but there's no Spore at the third. Oh, and the Queens are busy here at the natural as well.
For now, yeah, might be a little bit overconfident here, JimRising, trying to utilize those Mutalisks more than anything. And Overseer only now starting to be morphed. And the Sir base is in a lot of trouble here. A lot of units being taken out there. We do see a bit of a run by. Takes out about one, a couple more SCVs. Right, here comes the other run by. This is JimRising, or the JimRising that we know and love. A lot of link play coming out here, and looks like there's going to be a transition into Mutiling. No Banelings yet, although there is that Baneling nest.
There is that Baneling nest, and it looks like the Banshees will eventually be cleaned up. So I do like that the Ling run by forced the Hellions to go back home. If that didn't happen, the Hellions probably would have dove into the natural. So nicely done there by JimRising, able to go blow for blow with Sinner.
He is. Now I'm even liking that, despite moving the Mutalist up into his main base, still enough Lings there to pounce on top of the Hellions if Sinner decides to commit, which is why he is pulling back now. It's going to be focused on getting his third secure, just getting his army up, as he knows that this Mutalist harass is something that he's going to have to deal with. Oh, nice flight coming down here with the Marines. Does chase the Mutalist away.
Yeah, he just have to be careful. Like, that's why I'm very tentative about how these Mutalisks will work against Sinner, because he has so many Marines already. He has 1-1, he has Stim as well. Bailing speed only just starting, so he does have to keep Sinner busy long enough for that Bailing speed to finish up.
And he will. He is fighting these angles to sort of harass the natural base of Sinner. Does get a couple of SCVs on top of that, but for the most part, yeah, Sinner is just in a very good defensive position, kind of what he was known for in the past.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit worried for JimRising right now. He's still on 3 base, hasn't gone into a 4th.
Yeah, it's really odd that we still don't see a 4th base for Jim. He's kind of maybe tunnel visioning a little bit too much with this Mutalist control, where he should be focusing on his economy. And 1-1 only just starting for Jim. We do have Bailing speed finishing up as well, and a 4th base finally. It does feel a little bit delayed though, but it could be fine. It could be worth it as long as these Mutalists keep Sinner busy at home.
And that is definitely the if that we're going to have to be asking. Once again, just finding these angles to poke around. It's just basically forcing these Marines back and forth. And every time Sinner stims them, look at the energy count on these medevacs. It's actually starting to get pretty low.
It's non-existent
right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this could actually come back to bite him later on when there's a big engagement.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's actually a little bit supply blocked, so no, there weren't any medevacs in production for quite some time, and these Mutalisks, they just keep finding more and more damage.
That they definitely will. That's not where we want to be attacking into JimRising, but does take out the sensor tower. Absolutely key for any follow-up pushes coming out for JimRising.
Yeah.
And there's that fourth base.
Yeah, that fourth base, it's basically finishing up, you know, it's being droned up as well. Jim is very ahead in that worker count. He's got Infestation Pit as well, so he can work on Hive, and yeah, these mutalists, they've done wonders for him.
Yeah, they absolutely have. We were a little bit worried. It did seem like for a while that was where his entire focus is going to be on, but now it is starting to pay off quite a bit. Hive going to be on the way for JimRising. Sinner transitioning to more of a mine style anti-mutalisk army composition. It's going all the way here, but I do like that he's also not neglecting Marauders. Might want to get a couple more barracks with tech labs on top of that, just to get a more well-rounded army with more Marauders out. But for the most part, it's looking pretty good for Sinner.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried just because Sinner, he's been very defensive, and that works best if you're playing mech. I'm not too sure how that fares if you're playing bio like this, where really you do want to be on the aggression. You do want to be dropping as much as you can, like multi-pronging as well. So we'll see if that comes into play, as we do have a drop coming on the way, but there's already units here in position.
Either are this drop just not getting a lot done. I believe that the only thing that Sinner can really hope for right now is to try to clear some creep and maybe get a follow-up multi-prong like here up in the north. But we see JimRising already on it.
Yeah,
has some pretty good spotters. No, the spread of Overlord's not quite the #light spread that I think we're used to. Fortunately, running in a lot of Lingbane into this very fortified position of Sinner. And this could just get that Sinner needs.
But Jim, he has to be so careful not to send in like small segments of his army like that. He needs everything to come in at once to deal with this, and it looks like he's gonna at least lose the base, and now he's pouncing in.
Yeah, trying to catch these tanks off guard, and actually doing a pretty good job of that. But yeah, very good kiting and splitting coming out from Sinner, drawing this entire army off a creep, and on top of that, just not allowing these Valence to get any connections.
Yeah, like there were some good connections, but there just wasn't enough there, and it looks like that base goes down. There's a drop to the north as well. There are Marines at the third.
GG, Sinner. They were taking game number 1.
Wow, like we saw those first 2 drops move out across the map, and they didn't really deal any damage, but what they did do, which was so important, was that they forced the Mutalists back home, and they gave this opportunity, this opening for Sinner to finally push out with his massive army that he had been like just banking up. And yeah, GG.
Yeah, the progress is pretty good, light. We see a question being thrown down in chat by Neo Shaggy. Is this game 2? That was, in fact, game number 1.
That was game 1.
We'll be into game number 2, potentially the final game. Unless JimRising can really pull off a miracle here. Do you see a update here on the bracket? Eggs versus Dark Unnamed is going to be our first semifinals of the evening. I don't think they're going to be casted yet, as I do believe Sentimiento holds the semis. Confirm that for me, like.
It does, yes.
There you go. What about the bronze match? Is that also held?
That's only held depending on whether the tournament is going quickly. Otherwise,
right.
If it isn't, then they'll play that off stream.
Now define quickly for me, like.
if like a bunch of this series are like 15 minutes or something like that. But we'll see, as Darking is confirming. Yep, alright, he just wants us to make sure Grizzly gets in, and yeah, she was already messaging me, so everyone will be here, as Neo Shaggy in the chat did finish up his series against Dark Unnamed. By the way, shout out to Neo Shaggy. Thanks for dropping by. I hope your run has gone well. And yeah.
Everyone, get in here. Yeah, it looks like we are about to be ready to go. I'll be 1 second.
Yep. All good. uh Okay, we are loading into game number 2 in this best of 3 quarterfinals between. Hold on, as I set up the score, here we go. God damn. Yeah. Yep. Did you want to introduce the first player?
It's all good. Seems like you were just about finishing that.
Mm-hmm. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Mexican Terran player representing Alpha X. It is Sinner.
And in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we do in fact have a Red Zerg coming in all the way from the land of Mexico. We have Los Pollos Hermano himself representing Timbers, as well as the Macaco clan. We have JimRising.
Going for Hatch Gas Pool.
Protoss symbol. I can translate that one for you, Light.
And I'm gonna be honest, they are using a couple of words that I'm just straight up not familiar with. Like, I'm not a native speaker, so there's certain like slang that I never heard before. Literally never heard before.
I looked.
Yeah, that is fair, as well, as they are Mexican players and there are just straight up Mexican words that aren't used in other parts of Latin America. So yeah, we'll see how they go up against each other. As that last game, again, JimRising, he was doing really well, but we were pointing it out as that game was, transpiring, that his macro was just really delayed. Like his upgrades were really delayed, his fourth was delayed, and yeah, like he was doing a lot of damage with those mutalisks, but in the end, like he did need that ground army to support it.
That he did not want to be running them into mines and split marines, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we are in a new game, it's a new map, it's a fresh beginning here. And Sinner's probably going for Hellions once again. It is my preferred way of playing TBZ, I can tell you that. So yeah, hopefully this works out pretty well.
Okay, so we're gonna be seeing some mech coming out from Sinner. Okay.
Potentially.
Okay, never mind. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that lone marine. I was very confused. I was like, where's his anti-air if he's killing the overlord? I was very perplexed, but it does look like he did just lift the racks to kill the overlord.
That it is, and send some marine back on home. Yeah, this is part of the game where, this is the point in the game where it's still very up in the air. The Terran player can still decide whether or not they want to go mech or bio. You see a Viking coming out from Sinner, so he is wanting to deny scouting as much as he can here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this opener previously. We could see a switch into BCs or Banshees. We do have a tech lab on the way here on the racks. Oh, Liberator. Okay. What?
Hellion Lib, let's go.
This is okay. There we go. Okay.
all
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Oh no, he's got 6. It's fine.
yeah. He's got 6. He's got 6. He's got 2 out on the map. He's rejoining the other 4 with them at the same time. There will be a Liberator as well. So this is, this has become a lot more standard, I feel like.
And instead of playing it out very defensively, typically you see a couple more racks thrown down or a reactor built on that factory just to get as many Marines out as possible.
Is he on the scout? Is he going to see the Nidus?
He should. He just needs to go a little bit further. There, now he does. It's a very good thing that he did, in fact, get that Viking. There is already a Nidus being thrown down, but that's right in the face of Sinner. Is there enough units here to really deny this?
With a tank, potentially, but it is a siege up, and the Queens do get out. The Roaches are coming out as well. They are flooding in.
Yeah. But thanks to that Liberator, though, Sinner is going to have a even better defensive position.
We'll see. I mean, there are Ravagers being morphed in, so they can opt to go for the tank or the Liberator. Does have to be careful how he uses his biles.
And he is able to take out one, but this is actually really good subsidy coming out from Sinner. Making the absolute most use of both of his tanks. Did the Liberator go down to the Queens? I didn't actually catch that.
Yeah, the Queens focused down the Liberator, which was really nicely done there. There's only one tank, so the tanks should be going down to these biles. There's only one left, but it's getting blocked.
Oh, did get blocked, and very nice quick repair there coming out from Sinner. But now there's just not, the bunker went down, and it's very easy for the Roach Ravager to just jump on top of that. GG, JimRising takes that game. Tying it up 1-1.
Wow. So I'm just surprised because JimRising he ties it up, and it is definitely within the realm of possibility that he can actually knock Sinner out of this tournament. And that's something that I just wasn't expecting that. So GG, well played by Jim. I'm sure Sinner has a lot to say about that build and that what Jim did.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm just glad that the one time I cast Sacramento Latino is also the one time that JimRising decides to wake up early.
Yeah, it's nice that it worked out that way. And Jim, like, he's showing up. He could make a deep run. Like, he has performed well even in ESL Open Cups. Like, he has made it to the semis before, which was surprising to say the least.
A couple of times, yeah.
Yeah, so he definitely has it in him. And we'll see as we are setting up game number 3.
The ace match. Gonna be thrown down here. English cast is ready. Players are ready. And now we await.
Yeah, Neo Shaggy in the chat saying that he hates Dark Unnamed. I mean, Dark Unnamed, he is like a pretty strong player. Pretty often he does make it all the way to the semis, sometimes the finals. So it's don't take it too hard going down to a player like him. And yeah, he will be a player that we will be casting next, as Eggs versus Dark Unnamed is currently being held. We'll probably head into that after this last game in this series.
Does he hate Dark Unnamed, or does he hate Dark?
It's why not both?
Played I was gonna say Dark Unnamed might have taken inspiration from Dark. And speaking of taking inspiration, here we are in maybe spawning onto Nightshade, otherwise known as Meladon. LE, where yeah, in the bottom right hand corner map, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of the map, we do in fact have our blue Terran coming in all the way from the land of Mexico, and he is feeling pretty good right now because it's not Sunday, so he should have a chance. He is representing Alpha X. We have Sinner.
commenting on the fact that all the Latin American Zergs are just cheesing him. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Nightshade LE, we have the Mexican Zerg player representing Timbers Esports. It is JimRising.
Los Hermano himself.
Yeah, going for a gas first. So speaking of cheese, we saw this previously. Yeah, this gas pool, it could be for fast link speed or like a Baneling bust, or we could see an early Roach Warren.
Yeah, definitely a lot of possibilities to throw out here in a ZvT. And I gotta say, I kind of favor that Roach Warren. Sinner throwing out something a little different once this time, going for that 2 racks.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 2 on 1 yet, but it does seem likely. No, it is 2 racks Reaper coming out from Sinner. He does not trust JimRising one bit.
Ooh.
And it turned out to be correct.
Yeah, this is interesting because JimRising, he is going for link speed, so he should be okay against this. It's kind of weird how this turned out. Sinner, looking at the hatchery timing, Sinner should realize what is coming, and because of that earlier pool, there are lings already here to deal with the bunker.
Yeah, I like the idea of the bunker. They're trying to trick JimRising into thinking that it's some kind of bunker rush. But in the end, yeah, just not too significant in the end.
Yeah, well, I mean,
around doesn't see anything, so
if,
this should ring some bells.
Yeah, if Jim had gone for a hatch first, that bunker would have gone up and it would have been there for these Reapers to jump in. But again, because of that earlier pool, he already had lings ready, and Jim kind of had an advantage because of the openers.
But that's also just the opener. We do see now Sinner, again, poking in with the Reapers, but has stopped producing them. Gonna be double expanding and just trying to get as much as possible. Still no factory.
Yeah, and to me, this makes a lot of sense coming out from Sinner. Like, this is kind of what you need to do. You went for a pretty aggressive opener, and you didn't deal any economic damage, so you need to catch up in some way. And he did something similar to the Zerglord when the Zerglord went for a fast that roach push, if you recall. So yeah, we'll see if Sinner can get away with it. As JimRising, he is coming across with a bunch of lings. Sinner should be okay.
But it's only 1 Marine so far, 2 Marines in that bunker. It is possible for Sinner to go around the bunker, but there's quite a bit of KD8 charges, so probably does not want to risk that. For now, just going to keep them here as a bit of a spotter. Try to deny a move out if possible, and just goes to the third base.
Yeah. So Jim, he is opting to just macro out of this. He is getting his third. He's going for double evos as well. So being a little bit greedy, but he can get away with it. Like, he has map control at the moment. He's containing his opponent to 2 bases. As I say that though, we do have 4 Reapers coming out, and I feel like this is really important for Sinner. Like, to get some kind of vision out on the map. Like, so far he has no idea what JimRising is doing. JimRising could be going like for quick lair Nidus for all he knows. And
probably suspecting it too after that last game.
Yeah. I wouldn't blame him.
But yeah, instead things are just going to be slowing down for a bit. Both players just getting macroing up. I think they have both kind of realized our opponents aren't in a position to really go for any big attacks just yet. JimRising is going to be the first one to get a scout off, though.
Yeah, and it's so important that he does see that third CC, so he knows that his opponent is trying to be as economic as he can be. He does spot the 2-1-1 as well, so he does know about the bio play. So with that information, we do see a Baneling Nest about to finish up. We have 1-1 finishing up as well. Lair on the way, which is quite nice. So Jim, you know, it's looking...
Time out pretty well with the upgrade timing. Also getting the fourth base this time. Thankfully, learned from his mistakes in game number 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, thank God we've got the fourth base. It's on the way. It's fine. Nicely timed.
I thought for a second those Marines were attacking the orbital command, but nope.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird because it was covering the Overlord for a moment there.
How would that work out? How would the bullets work out?
I have no
I feel
idea.
like they just hit. I feel like they just end up hitting the CC, but I mean, you know, they're pretty accurate, I guess. These Marines.
I would hate to be the one to clean the CC after it like bumps into an Overlord or something. Like,
that'd be a mess.
Yeah, especially because they can spread creep as well, like infinite creep. Like, how does that work?
There's like a pipeline, but wirelessly.
Yeah,
it's like wireless. Yeah.
They just have Wi-Fi connected, you know.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, go on.
Yeah, this is gonna be like, speaking of Wi-Fi, this drop is starting to move across the map, and notice how they get healed. These Marines get healed without any wires.
That's is that where you were going with that? God damn it.
Alright, fourth base is starting to get a little bit threatened, but JimRising is already well into position to deny this drop. Does get the Liberator as well, thanks to the high ground Marine, but a hot pickup coming in for a Sinner.
Yeah, I do like that Sinner, he is applying pressure, which is something that he needs to do. He does do some damage to that fourth base. He does need to deal a little bit more, as he is currently down in upgrades, down in workers. And at least he is keeping JimRising busy. He's keeping him in check, as JimRising is getting that infestation pit underway. So he will be working on his hive pretty soon. And yeah, we'll see how Sinner does, because he has been ramping up his production, but he's definitely lacking in like the anchor for his army. He has a tank, but that's kind of it, just one single tank and a bunch of fire.
Those banelings do manage to get these supply depots. Not any economic damage behind that, but it will supply block Sinner for quite some time, actually. That takes one number of supply depots to build there. What is that, 8 supply for each depot? So it's...
Yeah. They're both actually supply blocks right now, because he killed an Overlord at the same time.
Yeah. 1 for 1. But will be a bit easier for JimRising to get away from that.
Yeah, it was just funny how that worked out, as again Sinner, he is pushing out, and again that Sim City was well placed, I should say, so those banelings didn't really get any economic damage, just killing those supply depots. So definitely could have turned out worse for Sinner, as we do see JimRising still trying to establish himself. Spire only just starting. I was about to say, like, we've seen like a lack of Mutalisk from JimRising this game. Finally though, opting to go for it.
I was kind of hoping it'd be the Dark style Ling main into Ultra.
Yeah,
but not quite. I just like that Sinner is playing Terran how Kerwin and Milk and Volt tell me to play Terran, which is apply pressure but always hot pickup, never get greedy. Because he needs to keep every single one of his units alive.
Yeah, I mean, doing that, it does mean that the threat of that drop is still there, and maybe sometimes the threat of the drop is more dangerous than or does more damage than the actual drop itself. Like, it does keep your opponent, like, it does force him to split off army and keep his attention placed elsewhere. So
yeah, splitting off army, this is a run by. And it's not doing much other than preventing this CC from landing, but still, that's quite a big delay. Meanwhile, you see Sinner's massive army push out. This is the big one. JimRising is coming in. I'm looking at friendly fire, but the friendly fire actually did not happen for once. But JimRising still has a very hardy army. So does Sinner, mind you. Both of them kept a lot of their units alive, funnily enough.
Yeah, they again, the bathing connections were good for Lings, but Lings, you know, it's kind of negligible. You can trade against them, and ooh, this drop is still dealing a lot of damage, and the mines are about to recharge.
That they are. Oh, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him right now. Light. And that's a skadoosh if I've ever seen one. But a lot of them did do, whatchamacallit, did do over damage. Is that the
Overkill?
term? Overkill, yeah.
Yeah.
Let him end up fired out into nothing. A little bit of a hasty sort of makeshift split there by JimRising, but it did work out quite well in the end. We see a couple of Corruptors coming out. Should be morphing into Brute Lords fairly soon.
Yeah, and it looks like all the bangs do get taken out. So this buyer does trade pretty well. Will get cleaned up in the end. And as you were saying, going for Corruptors, not Mulus this game. Very old school. Very you were mentioning dark. This is very like hot dark style.
Yeah. Corrupt the Lingbane.
Yeah.
Look, the guy likes this Lingbane.
Definitely.
Really nice. I do see another crash into. Oh, Renegade! Thank you very much for the raid there. We are just casting the ace match of Sinner versus JimRising, and it looks like it could be going into the beginning of the end. You see a Bioforce coming in from the north just to reinforce this. But JimRising backs off.
Yeah, he does end up holding here, Sinner does, and JimRising, he's still working on his tech. Ultralisk Cavern is about to finish up, so Ultralisk will be on the way for Jim. And we'll see as the creep spread outside his fourth base doesn't look too impressive, so Sinner, he's done a really good job at denying that creep, and now he just continues to apply the pressure. There aren't too many Banelings here for Jim.
Yeah, and forget about the Banelings. There aren't any Lings to buffer, and as you were mentioning, there's just no creeps threat here. It's so easy for Sinner to just pick them off one by one.
Oh, that was
not even a cancel on that fifth base, or no, sixth base. And JimRising kind of getting his attention really being stretched here, but things are looking to change here for quite a bit. Sinner had the upgrade advantage for quite a while, but now JimRising is about to even that out. And it's really going to come down to which AoE can get better connections here. That was a good mine hit. Takes out a lot of the Banelings there. And a lot of the everything there gets taken out. But now it's basically just Marines and a couple of tanks. The Banelings do manage to crash in, and it's one Ultralisk that is doing so much damage here. Corrupt is managing to snipe off all of the medevacs as well. It's starting to look rough on both sides.
Yeah, that was heavy losses for both ends. I do kind of want to give the edge to Sinner. He was able to kill the Ultralisk, clear up all the Banelings. In saying that though, now there are a lot of Ultras on the way. Now JimRising is finally getting into that late game army composition. I believe he has like 4 or 5 Ultralisks already, and that's going to be so much more difficult for Sinner to deal with, especially without Ghosts or Liberators.
Yeah, it's getting a couple Marauders, so that can definitely help out a little bit, but it's only 2 at a time. And Marauders in low numbers, they do nothing versus Ultralisk. I will still say that I prefer Marauders versus Ultralisk than any other unit, but you really do need to get the critical mass. You cannot be building time here.
I mean, speaking of critical mass...
Pretty well, there's no links to buffer here for these Ultralisks. And one thing about Ultralisk that's different from the Zerglings, they are massive units. They are massive units, so when the mines hit on them, it's not likely that they'll do friendly fire.
Yo, but with the multi-prong, is Jim doing it? Like, he's able to like completely evaporate the mineral line at this fourth base, is able to force a liftoff as well, and he defends his own northern bases. So JimRising, he's actually ahead right now.
Exactly. I tell you what, Light, I'm not sure. I feel like this will go down to one single engagement, but for now, so long as JimRising bides his time, he is ahead, like you were saying. He just needs to not throw away his army pretty much, but he is donating a lot of Ultras into here. This army is very heavily stimmed, but it is only one Ultra left here that's attacking this army. These Corruptors do manage to take out the medevacs, and that is absolutely key here when it's just a Bioforce versus Ling Ultra. But the important part is that the Bioforce is alive.
Yeah, I think defensively, this army, he is able to hold on, but as you were saying, the medevac count is, oh my god, there's only 2 here for this army. Like, this army is hurting so much right now. The stims are very limited here for Sinner. And JimRising, he has the economy to rebuild. Like his Ultralisk count is going back up. His drone count is kind of untouched. He has 94 workers.
94. He's about to be maxed out here. And we're getting to that point where JimRising really can afford to throw away Ling Rumbais or Ling Bane into his opponent. Just remax. But he is trading pretty inefficiently versus these mines. I will say that.
Yeah, but look how heavily stimmed this army is. Oh god.
Very much so is. They are about to be taken out. These are a lot of Ultralisks, and they're coming in for the flank. Sinner, hands off the keyboard for a second. I think he's just trying to process this a little bit, but he is still building that army back up. His macro has not slipped once here. But we're getting to the point where he's about to run out of money. He just cannot produce anything right now other than what's already being in production.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a lot of Widow Mines available to him, which could swing this in his favor, especially if they get the good hits off. Oh my god, they need to borrow though.
Quite a bit of an if. A lot of them do manage to borrow, but nicely done by JimRising, kind of forcing a lot of those, or baiting those mines into targeting those corruptors. And at this point, that's what JimRising wants. He wants to get rid of his corruptors. You're going to have more of a ground army. And now, Sinner, so far in creep. He is kiting this decently well, but the stim's about to run out. The energy on the Medivacs is almost about done here. These Lings are starting to come in, and look at that. This is why you want Zerglings with your Ultras. You want to sort of trap them in so that your Ultralists can come in for what's the final. And man, I gotta tell you, like, Sinner, he's been fighting this so insanely well. Probably some of the best micro I've seen here, but in the end, it wasn't enough. JimRising, after waking up to play in Sacramento Latino, now going to be making it to the semifinals in what is shaping up to be a very neat run.
Wow, GG. JimRising takes out, I would say, the favorite in this series, takes out Sinner, one of the best in Mexico, and advances on to face another Mexican player in Paco Mike.